How's it going, everyone? Welcome to Riley's Redzone, and welcome to another weekly edition of NFL Picks on the channel. If you're new here, every single week, I make my selections on who I think will win every NFL game, as well as, since week 2, we've had a guest picker. And today we're going to have multiple, you'll see momentarily. So we're going to do a quick recap last week before diving in. Last thing, if you're new here, is we just select who will win the game. I will mention spreads to get an idea of who the favorite is, but we just pick straight up. So last week, I went 10-6. That's okay. That's been about on par with what I've had. It's not phenomenal, but not bad. 119-76 then puts my record there. And although I may have cooked the turkey on Thanksgiving for this man, Braden cooked on the picks. He went 13-3, quite a week right there for Braden, and so he's right towards the top of these standings right there. He's certainly in the mix for that top ranking by the end of the year. And this week, looking to add to it, we have two guest pickers. We have Sam and we have Max, both of the apartment fellows here that will also get a last and remain involved next week. But I went around and asked them who they think wins these games, and so we'll just see what they got. I don't know if they had a ton of reasoning. It sounded like some were maybe favorite teams or that type of thing, but for that reason, they might end up doing really, really well. So I'm excited to see how those turn out. But with that said, we're going to dive right into the picks then for this week, starting with right today, the Packers and the Lions. The Lions are looking phenomenal this season. They might be the best team in the league at the moment. And the Packers last week, big win over the Dolphins, but they've looked good to me with Jordan Love at quarterback. So the Lions, although I have ranked right at the top, they're 3-point favorites. I think this is a trap game. And so give me the Packers on the road +3 just to get the victory there. And so I like Jordan Love to pull off the upset, but let's see what the fellas think. Packers or Lions?
Lions.
Packers or Lions?
Packers.
Okay, so we have agreement with Max, but Sam just goes with the favorite in the Lions. So already, if that pick goes that direction, Sam's in the lead tonight if that were to occur. So next game, we have Browns and Steelers. And yes, it feels like we just made this prediction a few weeks ago because we did. It was that snow game with Jameis Winston against the Steelers that was phenomenal for the Browns, and here they are facing off again. And I just think it's hard to beat a team twice. The Browns are really, really fun this last week. I mean, what was that? Jameis threw almost 500 yards with a couple of pick sixes. That's not going to get you the win. Had a watch viewing for that, and that was just unbelievable to watch everyone's reactions because that was a ridiculous game with back and forth big plays. Meanwhile, the Steelers just keep getting it done. Their defense has been so strong for so long, but now their offense can put up points as well. So for that reason, I think they are proving they're legit. This could be a pretty solid playoff team. So as 6.5-point favorites, I am going to take the Steelers to win the game. Let's see if the fellows agree. Browns or Steelers?
Steelers.
Browns or Steelers?
Steelers.
Well, so they do. So we have ourselves a sweep in that selection right there. So old takes exposed. Hopefully you don't out us for that one if the Browns were to pull that one off. But the Saints and the Giants. The Saints are a little bit more fun with, interim head coach Darren Rizzi, and they've kept games close if they don't win them outright. Meanwhile, the Giants are just not good at football right now. Their quarterback situation is terrible. Given either option they have, they had Tommy DeVito, then they tried Drew Lock last week because they needed to, and neither worked. I just don't have any confidence in them. So for that reason, do I feel great about the Saints? No, but I'll take New Orleans here. Let's see what we got. Saints or Giants?
Giants.
Saints or Giants?
Saints.
Okay, so me and Max again on the same page. Meanwhile, the Giants is what Sam goes with. So if things were to go that direction, he could already be off to a fast start with the different picks than me and Max in that one. So then we have the Jets and the Dolphins, and I'm throwing in the towel. The Jets, I just can't put my trust in anymore. Letting go. I have picked them so many times to end up making some plays that they just don't. And they're going to get victories, but I'll take the loss of getting that pick wrong compared to knowing I'm probably going to get the pick wrong because the Jets just don't get it done on a regular basis. It's been inconsistent quite often, and I really think that they've underperformed this season with the talent they've had. And so in this one, do I feel great about the Dolphins? No, they looked bad against the Packers last week, but that was in the cold. So back at home with Tua and everybody there on offense, I'll take Miami. Let's see if they agree.
Jets or Dolphins?
Dolphins.
Jets or Dolphins?
Dolphins.
So another sweep. We have a couple of sweeps at this point in the video then that we have agreement on a pick. So Dolphins is what we're saying. Now this next one, there's no relevance really. With the Jaguars and the Titans, it's an AFC South showdown. With the Jaguars, it looks like Trevor Lawrence might be assumed out the rest of the season with him going on injured reserve. And so Mac Jones is who you're going with there. Do I feel great about that? No, but I'll tell you what I also don't feel great about is the Tennessee Titans right now. They just, to me, have not ever, even in their small amount of wins this year, shown like some strong capabilities, in my opinion. I just don't have a lot of faith in that. So I'll take the Jaguars as an upset, even with a backup quarterback, just with that change to pull off a victory. Let's see, though, if that's the same thought.
Jags or Titans?
Titans.
Jags or Titans?
Jags.
So Max and I, again, on the same page with the upset, but Sam's going with Tennessee. So that mixes it up right there. Then we have the Vikings and the Falcons, the Kirk Cousins Bowl, if you will, here. And so this could only go one of two ways. Kirk Cousins is either going to throw for 450 yards, 3-4 touchdowns, and maybe one pick, or he's going to go 225 with a pair of interceptions and a touchdown. Like, I think that based on how the defense attacks it, Kirk, with his mental capability, I think will have a strong read on what this defense could be. But in my opinion, even compared to last year, the talent that the Vikings have defensively, just roster-wise, is different there. And I think that overall, their team last week getting a gritty win against the Cardinals was huge for them, because we're always scared with those one-possession games. I don't think teams that are able... a lot of those you may consider lucky, but this last week was one that they needed to really show that, okay, last minute we can have Sam Darnold drive down the field, get us a win, and they did so. The Falcons are just okay to me. Kirk has really regressed over the last month or so for some reason. I think he'll be on his way back up. This could be a really interesting game. I think the Vikings are inching back to where I'd almost have them in the top 5 again, but for now it's 5.5-point favorites. I'll take Minnesota in that matchup.
Falcons or Vikings?
Vikings.
Falcons or Vikings?
Falcons.
Okay, so Max changes the pick on that one. He goes to the Falcons, so now we finally are split that we didn't pick exactly the same. And Sam is with me on the Vikings for that one, so we'll keep an eye out there. Meanwhile, Panthers, Eagles. I feel bad for the Panthers because Bryce Young has been playing really well as of late, and they've deserved more victories than they have, and they don't get a very easy test here going against the Eagles. Now, 12.5 points is the latest I've seen. That is a heck of a line, I gotta say. That's one of the biggest we've seen all season, and with the way the Panthers have been playing as of late, I'd be hesitant there. But the Eagles are just so darn good as a football team. Roster construction-wise, they have Saquon and Jalen Hurts going. I don't see a reason to pick against Philadelphia here, really.
Panthers or Eagles?
Eagles.
Panthers or Eagles?
Eagles.
So we got ourselves another sweep in that one. It will be all Eagles for that pick. Okay, then the Raiders and the Bucks. We got the kind of pirate teams facing off here. The Bucks, despite some of the health concerns they've had throughout this season, just keep it in the contention with Baker Mayfield, and I think they do so again this week. They're facing the Raiders, who, they can play games close, but I just don't have a ton of confidence in. So I'll stick with Tampa Bay. Give me the Buccaneers in that matchup as the favorite.
Raiders or Buccaneers?
Buccaneers.
Raiders or Bucks?
Raiders.
Okay, so Max going with another upset with the Raiders. Meanwhile, Sam and I with the Bucks in that matchup. Should be another cool one to watch. And then we have Cardinals and Seahawks. 2.5-point favorite is the Cardinals. This is going to be a tight game because the Seahawks defense has finally stepped up big time. And they are... I mentioned at the beginning of the season, I was pretty confident they'd be like in that wild card range because their roster construction is actually pretty impressive to me, but their ceiling is just not super high. But they're looking really, really good. But the Cardinals, I think, actually showed enough in their close loss to the Vikings last week for me to put some trust in them defensively, even though I know that there may be some potential concerns there. I really like the Cardinals and what they've shown. I think they bounce back and get a win this week. Let's see what we got from the fellas, though.
Seahawks or Cardinals?
Seahawks.
Seahawks or Cardinals?
Seahawks.
Okay, so I am a lone wolf in this pick as I'm just going with the Cardinals, and the other two go with the Seahawks in that game as the underdog. Okay, then the Bears and the 49ers. The 49ers are banged up. Brock Purdy sounds like might be good to go, but because last week they played him against the Bills, and so with that, they lose Christian McCaffrey. I don't know where you go with the Niners. I'm shocked they're 4-point favorites right now. I really am, because Jordan Mason's hurt as well. I know the snow game was rough last week, and Buffalo is going to be the team that could take advantage of those conditions. But I like Chicago. I'm a huge fan of when a new interim head coach comes in or just change is being initiated. And so with Thomas Brown being head coach, it's crazy that he's been elevated twice in the span of maybe a month or maybe a little over. But I like Chicago here with Caleb Williams in the offense to pull off the upset. Let's see what we have from the fellows.
Bears or 49ers?
Bears.
Bears or 49ers?
49ers.
Okay, so Sam and I on the same page again with this one, but it's as the underdog pick. Meanwhile, Max has the 49ers, who are the favorite in that game. Only a couple left here. We have the Bills and the Rams. The Bills, just bottom line, this could be their year. If you are a longtime fan of the channel, you may remember about 3 or 4 years ago when I would do the preseason predictions and postseason predictions. There was, I think, a span of 3 or 4 times in a row that I picked the Bills to win the whole thing because I truly thought they had the talent and they would get this close and they just couldn't get there. It's feeling pretty legit right now, and I'll tell you, a Lions-Bills Super Bowl would be pretty cool. I'm going to throw that out there. But the Bills are so good. The Rams, though, are also pretty solid because with Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford, you can't ever count them out. I really doubt their defensive roster construction quite often, but the truth is they're just getting victories, and that's all you need to do. So I'll take the Bills as the favorite here. They're 4 points, but I definitely could see the Rams keeping it close. I have a feeling I know where Max is going to go with this pick, as that's his team, but let's just confirm that.
Bills or Rams?
Rams.
Bills or Rams?
Bills.
Okay, so no shocker from Max, but Sam goes with the Rams. Okay. That's an upset there. So we are having that. I like that we're mixing it up here. We don't have a ton of complete sweeps. We've only had a few. Chargers, Chiefs. Yeah, the Chiefs are really good. And I mention it every week. I'm not really concerned what they do in the regular season because it's really the season starts for them in the postseason because they're going to be probably maybe even still the favorite for the Super Bowl. Although Buffalo, I think, is making a really strong case in the AFC. But I think that they're showing some flaws, in my opinion, over the last little while, that they are certainly beatable, if not, by some subpar teams that have played them close. If they face a solid team like the Chargers here, I think this could get really dangerous. And for that reason, I've been a little hesitant on the Chargers because I think their team is really strong. I'm a huge believer in Jim Harbaugh there. I just think that their schedule has been wins against easier teams, but I think a win over the Falcons last week was pretty big for them. I like the Chargers here to show what they have and beat the Chiefs. So I'm taking the Chargers, even though they're 4-point underdogs, but let's see what they got.
Chargers or Chiefs?
Chiefs.
Chargers or Chiefs?
Chiefs.
Okay, so they go with the Chiefs, which is very logical, but I'm on the Chargers bandwagon, I guess, for that game. And let's round it out with the Bengals and the Cowboys. The Bengals, what in the world is happening with that team? They put up so many points every week offensively. You think that they're going to get it done, and they just don't. They cannot stop a peanut butter and jelly sandwich from putting the ball in the end zone. And that you feel bad for Joe Burrow because this has maybe been his best career season. You could even make a case, and it's just going to be overshadowed that their record is terrible and they can't get the job done. The Cowboys, without Dak Prescott, they don't have much, but they did get a win last week over the Giants because it was the Giants. That did not make me feel any stronger about the Cowboys. I also know the Bengals have been not able to deliver. But as 5.5-point favorites here, this is more so I just think if there's a game that the Bengals do finally win, it has to be against the Cowboys. I just think that the Cowboys, with their backup offensively, I doubt. I'm saying if Cooper Rush is your quarterback, I think that the Bengals, this could be the first time they actually make a little stop here. So let's see what the others think.
And Bengals or Cowboys?
Bengals.
Bengals or Cowboys?
Bengals.
So we have ourselves a sweep to round out the picks. We're all going with the Bengals in that matchup. Well, that'll do for the pick segment. Quick, going to recap the fantasy league, which is getting interesting because there's been a lot of moves in the waiver wire because this is the last week before playoffs start. And when the playoffs start, we're going to have a reward for the winner and a punishment for last place. So you want to make sure that you're safe and out of that contention. So let's start with some of the awards from last week. We had Danny with the most efficient manager. He scored 99% of his possible points, which was 133, and Andrew scored 124 out of a possible 161, which is heartbreaking because he lost by just under 2 points against Nick. So that is brutal there. Braden was the high scorer against myself, of course. With 155 points, and our lowest scorer was Carson with 102. We all broke 100 there. That's pretty impressive. But these playoffs are going to be wild because the whole Virginia division on this side is close to 500, if not right at it. And so it's going to come down with maybe some tiebreakers. I haven't even looked at how they're going to determine this. But let's talk about the matchups. I've got myself against Zach, and I'm currently I have a 34% chance of winning. That's not very good. I have a lot of injuries going on in my team, and bye weeks as well don't help me out. And that's, you know what? Let's take a little extra time. Here's the state of the Riley's Red Zone team. I'm starting Jameis Winston at quarterback in a dynasty league this week. That's not something I thought I'd say at the beginning of the season, but it's because my guys are CJ Stroud and Nico Collins, both on bye this week. Deontay Johnson at one point was actually useful. Now is not whatsoever. He's suspended by the Ravens. I've got nobody on my bench that's barely playable. So I'm starting Jameis Winston, Tyrone Tracy, Breece Hall, DJ Moore, Marquez Valdez-Scantling is in my starting lineup this week. That is not good. He could pop off, though. Jonnu Smith. Talk about how many guys I didn't draft that end up starting this week. Jonnu Smith at tight end. I got Kyron Williams still at least. TJ Hawkinson I'm playing at tight end. I would play another tight end in Cade Otton, but I can't play really three. I got to play the other two. He'd be better than any of the receivers I have. And then Jake Elliott's my kicker. I currently have the Texans defense, and they've been really good, so I don't want to let them go, but maybe I do just have to cut ties with somebody on my bench or something because I'm going to need a defense if I want to get a win because clearly I'm not favored. So anyways, back to the matchup. I'm against Zach, so 6-7 versus 8-5. Matthew and Cody, 6-7, 7-6, and then 7-6 versus 7-6 with Braden and Carson. So all that going down on this side is going to be interesting down the wire. So I think the only safe one is Zach because he's at 8 wins right now. Then on the other end, we have Alex 5-8 against Charlie 11-2. Danny 3-10 versus Andrews 5-8, and then Nick at 6-7 versus Max's 7-6. Wow, just a lot going on. Playoffs start next week, so we'll see who makes it, but that's what the update is for the Fantasy League. So I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to watch this video of recapping the picks, and we'll see what the result is. It was fun to have a couple guest pickers on this week. We may have some next week as well. So with that being said, thanks for watching this video, and we will see you in the next one.